My name is Grehan and I'm the Dublin City Architect. The priority for city architects is to try and ensure that Dublin's built environment is sustainable, that it adapts to climate change and it mitigates climate change. Housing and sustainability covers a number of bases. One is to provide homes for people. But then there's also the architectural and environmental aspects, which is how the buildings perform. The most sustainable building is the building we have, and we really want to minimise the situation whereby we're replacing buildings every 30 or 40 years. I was thinking about how to really best showcase the diversity of our work when it comes to housing. The best thing to do is to take a walk around a small part of the north, the city centre. And in that walk, we'll cover different sites, different project approaches and different outcomes. We're going to start at Constitution Hill. The most sustainable approach was to demolish and rebuild. However, we're rethinking this and we're looking more towards retrofit and keeping the existing blocks insofar as we can. Constitution Hill, it's a mix of renovating and retrofitting the existing blocks and bringing them up to a high standard and building new buildings where we can in the site. Next, we're going over to O'Devany Gardens. O'Devany Gardens was a very large flat complex. The blocks were detenanted and demolished. The site was the subject of a whole new regeneration plan. It's a real exemplar of what is now called low-rise, medium-density housing. They are more affordable because they're not high-rise apartments, but they are appropriately scaled, and we have actually got about 77 homes per hectare on this quite tight site. Around the corner from O'Devany Gardens, we are in St. Brichan's Park. It was the culmination of what we call our 2-into-1 senior citizen programme. In 2016, we completed the first block. The block was improved, so the energy performance was improved to a B3 energy rating. The next block, the energy was improved even further. We decided that for the third block, we'd try and reach Passive House standard. Remarkably, I suppose, we've managed to refurbish the third block to an A3 rating. So what we have here is an incredibly high-performing little flat block. Now we're going to walk back towards the city centre and we're going to North King Street to a new development called Sean Foster Place. It is built on an impossibly narrow site. It achieves 350 homes per hectare, which is actually astonishingly high for a 5 to 6 storey building. As a piece of urban design, it completes the street, which is really important.
Hi, my name is Natalie Walsh. I'm an architect in City Architects for Dublin City Council. I suppose the most significant change that City Architects produced on this particular project was the use of heat pumps and eliminating the reliance on fossil fuels. One of the successes was the demonstration of A1 energy ratings being achieved by the project.
We're going to check in on Riders Row. It was in private ownership, multiple ownership, and vacant and derelict for decades. And now the site is in the City Council's ownership. Attacking dereliction and vacancy is another huge challenge for sustainability. Cities are an important solution to climate change. People living and working closer together use our resources better. We're going to build a 6-storey building. It'll provide homes for 16 families and it will terminate that really important vista. So we're going to finish at Dominic Street Lower. The new Energy Performance Buildings Directive is going to ask us to include whole life carbon costs in assessing whether our development proposals are sustainable. And when we come to renovate buildings, do we end up stripping out so much of the fabric in order to make them super high performing? Are we in effect demolishing the building? How do we keep as much of the building as we possibly can to achieve a good enough standard? The reason Dominic Street West, I suppose, is so important, therefore, is it does offer us an opportunity to actually see what is the optimum approach to retrofit.
I'm Madeline Hallinan. I work in City Architects and I'm currently starting to look at Dominic Street West project. The original plan would have been to demolish these buildings and replace them with higher performing buildings, but we realise now that there's a huge amount of resources required to create these new buildings. So that's what's known as the embodied carbon. 40% of global carbon emissions are attributable to buildings. Of that, maybe 30% is to do with the operational running of the buildings, but maybe just over 10% of it is the embodied embodied carbon. So it's the carbon used to manufacture the materials and construct these buildings. So now when we're looking at buildings, we carry out like a whole life carbon assessment. So we look at the energy used to create the building and then the energy that's used over the lifetime in the building, in the operational and maybe in the replacement of materials, and then maybe starting to even look at what happens to the building at the end of its life.
Homes are a really important pillar of climate action. Highly good performing buildings that are well insulated are just more comfortable places to live. We need to embrace urban living in Ireland. Cities, towns, villages are a big solution to climate change because when people live closer together, they just share and use resources better.